Go, 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 go.
3, 2, 1, 4 tires.
Still there, inside.
What a jump! What a jump!
The track is wet. It's good.
Still there, clear.
3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Foreign Field Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Caplupo, joined by Steve Ray, Sam Dooley, and Wesley Riddle. We are finally here for a Daytona 500 preview podcast. I have been looking forward to this episode since we finished talking about Phoenix in November. It feels like it's been a long time. We did 12 season preview team episodes, did a full season preview episode that came out Wednesday, and now it's Friday, February 13th, talking about the Daytona 500. Steve, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I've ever been more amped for an episode before.
Yeah, especially you mentioned that if in some ways it feels like it's been forever since we were just talking about Phoenix. In other ways, we've been so busy through the off season that it feels like there was no off season at all. But what better way to get our 2026 season officially kicked off than talking about none other than the Great American Race and the Daytona 500. I'm pumped for this season. This is the most excited I've been in quite a long time for a new season. So I'm excited for another great season of the Foreign Field Podcast, and I can't wait to see where things go from here.
We are the 68th running of the Daytona 500. Can't make the jokes. This isn't last year, so no jokes there. But just super excited. And I mean, the growth on social media has been huge. If you haven't gone on Twitter during qualifying or the races, Wes has been killing it with the live updates. So if you're ever not able to watch a race because you're out busy doing something on a Sunday or whatnot, make sure you're following the Foreign Field Podcast. Have post notifications on too, because Wes is giving you, I mean, it's like lap by lap updates, and it's, you're not missing a thing if you're following the Foreign Field Podcast, Wes.
Yeah, try to stay on top of it. It's I feel like good to just stay resourceful and also try to pick out a lot of key moments from I feel like the race that aren't really not only just covered on broadcast, but just not really discussed as much as they should. But I think it makes for telling the bigger picture more important. And also, aside from media, right? I mean, I think that it's important just for us to do it, just because we're so dedicated to the sport. I mean, we've followed it for a long time and have such a bright future, I feel like, for the Foreign Field Podcast ahead.
And I mean, getting those stories out, then, paying attention to what maybe the broadcast isn't. And I mean, it's kind of hard even when you're trying to watch with 9 laps to go in where the racing is getting interesting and we're getting full screen commercials. The year is 2026. We're getting full screen commercials when the action is finally picking up with 9 laps to go. Sam, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I wasn't very happy about that. I wasn't happy about it at all. Why do we need full screen commercials? It is a 60 lap race. The race takes about an hour. Like maybe a couple of side by sides here and there. Why are we going full screen commercials in a 60 lap race? It just blows my mind. I understand that this sport is built on sponsorship and that's just how the world goes around and money moving's how sports works, right? But it just blows my mind that we're in the big 2026 and there's 10 laps to go. You're seeing the third line form in the second duel, and then boom, full screen commercial. What are we doing? Like, it's extremely annoying, but it's kind of been par for the course of what we've come to expect from NASCAR on Fox.
Yeah, I mean, we had it happen at Talladega last year where I think there was about 7 laps to go and they went to a full screen commercial and came back with 4 laps to go. I mean, that's Bush League stuff. It's not Bush League stuff because they would actually, let us see the last 30 laps of green flag racing without a commercial. So That better not happen on Sunday. That I will say that you will lose a lot of people if you go to a full screen commercial with less than 10 to go in the Daytona 500 for sure.
Yeah, I thought after Talladega last year, I thought there was enough of an uproar that that wasn't going to happen again. And sure enough, uh, here in Duel 2 on Thursday night, it happened. So, yeah, and I wish I could say that that was the only thing that happened, but here we had a 7-time champion, Jimmy Johnson, his name getting spelled wrong during qualifying. And then you show the graphic of the top 10 qualifiers, and then it seems like everybody's in a different manufacturer. Like these are all things that need to be ironed out days, weeks in advance. And it just, I can't really speak on it firsthand because I don't deal with production. Sam, I think you're a better one to talk about things like that. But I just feel like, from an outsider's perspective, from a viewer's perspective, that's like very minor details that should be ironed out and there shouldn't be these errors in there. There needs to be some fact checkers here.
I will say I have misspelled plenty of names in my time working in production, but I'm also not working with a nationally televised sport. I'm working with an ESPN Plus broadcast of my college, which I take very seriously. Obviously, I try not to have those issues, but like if I would, it would be on the next level if I made one of those mistakes if I was working for a nationally broadcasted sport, right? And so I have a little bit of compassion for the guy that just, fat fingered Jimmy Johnson's name somewhere on some sheet somewhere, but also at the same time I really don't, because this is the amount of money that Fox has invested into this, right? And it's like it's not like misspelling a name or having the wrong manufacturer is like a huge deal. We all understand that Jimmy Johnson's name isn't spelled that way. It's just the straw that broke the camel's back, like you're looking at this like, man, there's so many just little minute details that are screwed up, and then you've got commercials with 9 to go in a dual race, and then you've got this, that, and it's all these little things that are pissing people off. And little things can send you over the top when you've got a track record of being like really bad at broadcasting this stuff. So yeah, from my personal sort of inside perspective of being around broadcast, it's really easy to do something little like that, but it should be an issue that's addressed. I know I get yelled at a ESPN Plus level by my boss if I misspelled something. So if there's this many issues and they're reoccurring like this, and last year we had people's pictures with the wrong names, and JJ Yaley's an F1 champion, and like it's all of this stuff. It's like it feels like it's an issue that continues to happen. So it feels like someone needs to get yelled at, or there's something needs to be addressed, because it just feels like death by 100 paper cuts when I'm watching a Fox broadcast.
It just feels like they don't care. That's really the issue. I mean, there's no reason that your top 10 graphic of the first round of qualifying has 9 drivers with the wrong manufacturer. That just means either someone is being like doesn't care and doesn't know who drives what, and also like Jimmy Johnson, like we're putting the old man in there, we're putting the football coach Jimmy Johnson in the car. He's in that 84 car, but and then what is this slop of a promo picture for the Daytona 500 where the 11 car is using like an old Toyota body, like the old Camry, instead of having an updated car? Like it just looks like AI slop when you have a multi-billion dollar, company at the helm of the biggest race of the season.
Yeah, I don't know why it's just seeing little things like that. And to maybe a casual fan, it might not matter that much, but to the diehard fans, like it's the little things like that that just irritate me for no reason. And it'd be easy enough there's so many great graphic designers out there. I mean, we're friends with one of them. Shout out Bolts, but it'd be easy enough to hire a graphic designer. That's their passion. That's what they do. They do a great job with it to make stuff like that. It'd be easy enough to do something like that. This is how you can tell that we're back in the 2026 season when we're talking about this again. It was almost a weekly occurrence for us last year.
Yeah, 9 minutes in, and we've given grief off for the broadcast. We haven't even done a points race yet, an official points race yet. So, moving on, talk about the social media. I mean, the growth that's we've had there just even since the new year started. I mean, we just hit literally as of Thursday, we hit 5,000 followers on Facebook. Which, if you are one of those followers, like, thank you so much. Like, we really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys keeping up with us. And if you aren't following anywhere else, I mean, Twitter, we've been getting a couple followers more on there since Wes has been doing the race updates. So we're about 670 followers there. TikTok, we're gonna get the TikTok back up and posting hopefully, daily, if not just a few times a week on there. Instagrams, we're still pumping out content there, so make sure you're following there. Subscribe on YouTube. That really helps us out, gets the page out there, and it's helps us create more content for you guys, more than just the podcast as well. So, and then if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, leave those comments in 5-star reviews. Those would be huge for us moving forward. Now, before we jump into our format, how was your guys' off season just in general, outside of obviously doing these preview pods?
Yeah, outside of doing the preview pods, it was it's been an eventful. I mean, up here in the northern U.S., in Minnesota, it's been pretty cold, so we've been cooped up inside a lot, which is no surprise to anybody. Um, yeah, it's been good though, and just trying to do a lot of research, just going off of like the social media growth. Speaking for myself personally, I have no background in anything like that, so it's a huge learning curve of trying to learn how to do stuff, how to make stuff, um, trying to learn like the ins and outs of algorithms and things like that. Stuff way beyond and stuff I never thought that I would deal with. But here we are trying to grow it. So I spent a lot of the off season doing that. And then really just trying to keep up on NASCAR news. They really, for the most part, this was more of a quiet off season. So really just spent a lot of the winter focusing on growing the podcast. And now we're here in race season.
And yeah, I know, Sam, you've been still grinding away, working away. Obviously, you already talked about being on ESPN Plus and working those broadcasts.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work for me. But I mean, it's always a lot of work for me. If you catch me anytime between August and May, it's just pretty much go, go, go nonstop. Month of February is especially tough. Like, it's something every day. But yeah, this off season, I've just been honestly waiting for NASCAR to roll around. Like, on Sundays during the off season, like that area of my work schedule, ironically, nothing going on Sundays. I have Sunday stuff when the NASCAR season is happening, but then when the NASCAR season ends, it's great because my Sundays open up, but I don't have NASCAR to watch. So, been trying to fill my time on Sundays. Been waiting around for the Daytona 500. Been counting down the days with our tweets. It's been really awesome seeing all of those finishes. It brought back some good memories that it was I had remembered some of those. I was happy to see Joey's win. And all of those. It's been fun. But yeah, just a lot of a lot of work, a lot of working on the pod, doing some different stuff with all the graphics that I've been trying to pump out to try and make the YouTube a little better of a watch than just staring at four guys holding microphones looking at each other. So it's been fun. It's been a fun off season of growth for us for sure. And I'm excited to see what the 2026 season holds.
Yeah, and Wes, I mean, if you're just tuning in for the first time since Phoenix, I mean, you got a new member in that household.
Yeah, I've got my, as you can see behind me, my little setup here for my Miss Harley Rose. I've been busy with my golden retriever that I got at the start of December. So we're about 15 weeks in. She's doing really good. She's laid down now because she's been up a majority of the day. Got her groomed earlier, so that was nice, and that was for the first time. And then obviously kept her up with the Daytona 500 duels that we had. So that's been good. The off season too. Yeah, I've been planning a house renovation. I've got that coming up. So that's been a lot to kind of put together, just to make sure my house is kind of up to date and ready for me and hopefully for a future family. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's been busy in ways, but not hardworking at the moment. No job. Hoping to get back into something here later this year. But yeah, you three make the magic happen, and I admire your work. So, but it's been good trying to keep Harley happy and see her see her enjoy her puppy stage.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, we can't do it without you too, Wes. I mean, it's not just the three of us. It's not just one of us. It's the four of us that keep this train rolling. Five, if you want to count Anthony in there. And we're gonna get him more involved with the podcast, and we'll explain that one a little later. But yeah, just been grinding away this off season, trying to think of ideas to make the podcast better and get us out there, and hopefully get us to maybe a race later this year, all four of us together at a race later. Maybe do some in-person podcast, a live show, something just kind of goes down the road. So before we get into the segments, though, they did release a new Dale Earnhardt documentary. It played right after the duels, and we're recording basically right after that documentary finished. So it's kind of fresh on our minds. So I'm gonna see, Sam, what did you just initial thoughts on that documentary?
I thought it was well done. I was in the boat that probably quite a few people were in, was kind of, are they beating a dead horse? This has been done over and over again. But I mean, there's always a different perspective, right? Like you can always find someone that you haven't talked to and put that out there. So I thought that they did a good job finding different guys that I hadn't seen, guys and girls that I hadn't seen their perspectives on the whole situation, and everything that went down surrounding Dale's death and kind of what they thought of his legacy. So I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was really well done. And I'm glad it wasn't just something that was thrown together to say, "Oh, 25th anniversary. Let's grab some views because we put Dale Earnhardt's name on it." It seemed like it was really well thought out, and that they really thought about how they wanted to put it together. So I was impressed by it.
Yeah, it's been well documented through different kind of versions of the story. Like you've got the Jeff Gordon side with like just his rivalry with Dale Earnhardt in the 90s and leading up until that 2001 Daytona 500. We've seen it from Michael Waltrip's, perspective, going from that being the greatest day of his life to arguably the worst. And you've seen just generic, just kind of like the day where it's just going through that day, and we're calling it from like Kenny Schrader and Richard Childress, and now you're getting it from people like Ryan McGee and producers, to covering the sport back then, and Frankie Muniz. I mean, that's insane how Frankie Muniz was 15 years old and he was one of the last people to talk to Dale Earnhardt that day. And I mean, you got people, then you kind of translate it to the safety aspect when you bring in Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, because Ryan Blaney arguably suffered a crash that looked worse than Dale Earnhardt's in the summer race at Daytona a few years back. And just the safety, aspects of everything, and how we haven't lost a NASCAR driver in the top three series since February 18th, 2001.
Yeah, it was nice to watch a documentary and just see the perspective of other people. I thought I'd take a quick second just to kind of tell my perspective, because for me, I think between the four of us, I was the only person watching NASCAR in 2001. For me, it was a part of my life ever since I was a kid. The earliest memories I have of pretty much having the TV on in our house, in our apartment before we lived here. And for me, NASCAR was a part of my life every single year since birth. And then for my dad, it was since the first televised race. And he was able to get me hooked when I was a child. And his hero was Dale Earnhardt. So that day we sat out here in the living room, not this room, but the room adjacent, and we watched the race. And for him, uh, what transpired that day turned out to be the first time and the only time, uh, actually one of two times he'd ever cried. Uh, I I had asked him before, and I've heard from my mom and other family members he had never cried a day in his life. But the tears that he shed that day were so hard because he was, in so many ways, he embodied Dale Earnhardt. He was almost a walking version of Dale Earnhardt. His personality, his charisma, his demeanor, his quick wit, his ability to just kind of show up and talk to somebody for 10 seconds and then walk off but make an impact. That was my dad. So I relate to Dale Earnhardt Jr., what he went through a lot that day, with kind of what my dad went through, just kind of watching it in that race. And then also having lost him, lost my dad in 2018. So for me, yeah, the documentary was special. It just, that day is very hard, but it's special to see what people's perspective was of that day.
Yeah, it's a it's a moment in history for NASCAR, and everything changed that day. And people say, it's kind of insensitive because people say NASCAR died when Dale died, but I mean that day is just so impactful. It's hard to find another day in NASCAR history where things changed so much, and so much for the better and so much for the worse. Like, it just kind of all culminates into what we have today. We have obviously the safer product, but what would NASCAR look like if Dale was still here? And he was so good, and you would think he would, DEI would still be here. He might be, in the booth or just in the media. I mean, he definitely had the kind of the charisma to stay. He was going to stay in that sport and be a headliner no matter how long, he decided to stay.
I think another thing too is, even just that same year, not long after, right after they mandated the Hans device, I mean, we almost lost Dale Jarrett at Kansas. Uh, I can't remember what race, but Sterling Marlin was the year after. You could tell just from their personality and their results on track, everything kind of diminished after those wrecks. And then, gosh, we almost lost. For me, this really hit home. I was a big Jerry Nadeau fan, and losing or nearly losing Jerry just down here 2 hours away from me at Richmond was horrendous, like a horrendous childhood memory. Thinking and trying to understand what death could be, to have almost lost him. And then, of course, a, a lot of drivers I root for now, but we see some horrible wrecks. And you mentioned the Ryan Blaney one, Cody Ware's wreck that happened last year. There's been so many instances of near fatal wrecks. So it's great that NASCAR did take the steps to be able to get innovative and kind of change the course of NASCAR history. It's just a shame that, you know, in hindsight, it's one thing to say, but they didn't pick up on it sooner.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So, we're going to keep talking about Dale Earnhardt in the future. And I mean, that name is not going to go away when you relate it to NASCAR. And, well, that won't be the last time we mention Dale Earnhardt this year. So,
I was just gonna add, yeah, along still being talking about Dale Earnhardt for the history of NASCAR forever. It's like, I think Joey said it during the thing. He's like, yeah, in 25 years we're still gonna be talking about Dale Earnhardt. 25 years from now, they will not be talking about me. It was either him or Blaney that said that, but like, you get the idea. Like, the man was bigger than life when he was living, and then he just became that much more of a culture icon after his death.
yeah, he's still like top five in, souvenir sales every year. And that just says a lot. I mean, the only guys maybe get ahead are like Chase Elliott and Dale Jr. But I mean, Dale Earnhardt's still top 5, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. So now let's actually get into the format of the podcast. Going to run through the plan here for the season. So we're going to have pre-race pods coming out on Fridays and the post-race podcast coming out mostly on Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays, depending on what is going on. Like the Daytona 500 one will probably come out on Tuesday. Just putting that out there right now. I'll be at a watch party on Sunday, and I doubt I will be back in time and or in condition to be doing a podcast, if I'm being honest. So the way the preview pods are going to go, we're going to have the segments on there. We're going to have Wesley's Wayback moment, which basically Wes is just going to talk about a moment, that he's had watching a race or being at a race for that track of the week. Then we're going to do Steve Stumps the Field. It's our trivia segment. Steve's going to try to trick us all every week, and we'll kind of keep up and see who gets the most right answers throughout the season. We'll do some underdogs of the week. Each person's going to come out with an underdog going into the week. And then we're going to get Anthony in here. We're going to have him, his segment, Making Money with Marchesi. He's going to do that a couple minutes each week. He'll have the best bets of the week. And then we'll do a fantasy draft this season instead of just picking race winners. It'll be 3 rounds. We get 3 drivers. And the only stipulation there is you can't pick a driver in consecutive weeks. So if I pick Riley Herbst for the Daytona 500, I cannot pick Riley Herbst for Atlanta next week.
Big shocker. You had to sneak in a Riley Herbst reference there.
All right, Daytona 500. Duels are done. Joey Logano won the first duel, and Chase Elliott won the second duel. They'll start 3rd and 4th respectively in the Daytona 500. And we had a little breaking news after the second duel. It was Anthony Alfredo originally being the one go homer that got into the race, into the Daytona 500, had a very heartfelt interview, and after the race, the car failed inspection. And as I believe it'll be BJ McLeod that is getting into the Daytona 500 instead of Anthony Alfredo. Just absolutely heartbreaking for Anthony Alfredo, who missed the field last year and said he had this dark cloud over his head all year until he had that moment of getting into the Daytona 500. And now that is just taken away from him. I mean, what an absolute nightmare for Anthony Alfredo. And let's see, we got William Byron looking to be the first driver to win 3 Daytona 500s in a row. I mean, his first 2 people could say lucky. The second one for sure lucky. But the first one, he was leading at the white flag and then just happened to get the caution right after they crossed the start finish line. And then last year being 10th on the final lap, 8th down the backstretch, and just the seas parting right in front of him. The front 7 all crash, and William Byron comes out victorious again. Maybe the luck is running out. Got caught up in a wreck in Duel 1. Don't know if he has to go to a backup car or not. Going to be starting towards the rear of the field regardless. So, going to be, if he's going to do it, it's going to be tough. It's going to be starting back in outside the top 30 if he's going to be able to pull off 3 in a row. And Denny Hamlin looking to become the 3rd driver ever to win more than 3 Daytona 500s. Richard Petty leads all time with 7 wins, and Cale Yarborough has 4 wins. So if Hamlin can win on Sunday, he'll join Cale Yarborough tied for 2nd all time on the Daytona 500 wins list.
Yeah, the thing that I was noticing in the dual races on Thursday night, the big talk was the new Chevy body, new nose specifically. Seemed like a few of those wrecks were happening right around Chevy drivers. Obviously, the one with Austin Dillon kind of getting punted into Bubba Wallace trigger in the big wreck in in the first duel. Daniel Suarez was a part of it as well at the end of that race. So I'm not sure. From what I could see of the Chevy body, it seems like they tried to flatten out the nose a little bit more instead of it being pointed like it had been in years past. But we're just seeing these big runs of energy come from whatever line that it's in. And guys, when it's coming down to the end of the race, just they're not even pushing, they're slamming at that point. And when you have such a big change in inertia like that, it makes the cars, especially these next gen cars, really squirrely. So those are some things to watch for Sunday. Obviously, when it comes down to the go or go home guys, Corey LaJoy, shout out to RFK. They played a perfect strategy in Duel 1. They had all 4 cars in the same race. They all got together very early in the race, and they were in control for the majority of that race. Things kind of shuffled up around the pit stop there, and ultimately Chris Buescher got taken out in a wreck. And then on the final lap, Corey LaJoy, who was in a great position to transfer and race his way into the Daytona 500, was the victim of the wreck on the last lap in duel number 1. And unfortunately, he will miss the race. But the beneficiary of that, shout out to Casey Mears for just holding the gas to the floorboard. And car is basically destroyed, but that quote from Andy J a few years ago, "I'm not lifting until I see God or the checkered flag," and Casey Mears saw both, I feel like, in that moment there. So just shout out to him and that team, Carl Long, small MBM Motorsports Garage 66 team. It's good seeing those smaller teams make it in, so I'm definitely happy for those guys.
Yeah, and Joey Logano actually said after the duel, I saw it in a tweet from Pockris slightly after Duel 1, that we need to cross our fingers looking forward at the Daytona 500 because those cars felt really sketchy. So it wasn't just a new nose on the Chevys, which I think the new nose on the Chevys probably helped them because in Duel 2 they looked absolutely insane whenever they had that whole like line of people up at the front. It seemed like they could push really well. But like Steve was saying, just those sudden changes of momentum. Um, it seems like we haven't seen big ones like that in a while. And I don't know how much of that was the fuel saving because they couldn't quite make it the whole duel. It would have been interesting to see if they didn't have to fuel save, what the racing would really look like. But yeah, Joey said that those cars seemed really unstable, and that you kind of got to cross your fingers and hope that it's not a wreck fest on Sunday. Which these are the best stock car drivers in the world, so obviously I feel like they'll find a way to adapt and overcome. We'll probably see a big one, maybe a couple. But I feel like these guys, obviously, they're the best to do it. So it'll be really interesting to see. I feel like we learned a lot, but learned nothing at the same time from the duels because it's going to be even. It's going to be there's going to be even less grip come Sunday because you're racing in the middle of the day. Your car is handling the best that it's going to in the duels because it's at night. You've got the cool asphalt that you're working a lot of grip with. So just seeing those cars slide around already when they were getting bumps, it's going to be really interesting heading into Sunday. What that's going to look like for the big race.
Turn 4 looks like it could be trouble. I saw a lot of cars getting loose on the bottom off of turn 4. So we might have an issue off turn 4 because someone just gets loose and either wipes up into a car on the outside line or just kind of loses it by themselves. But I would not be shocked to see a car lose control off turn 4 without really any assistance from another car. And it just seems like we have the chaos of one duel, and then it kind of settles down for the other. No cautions in the second duel, but not without a little dueling it out there after the cycle of green flag pit stops. You had the line led by Eric Jones, and you see these guys come back onto the track, and they are getting more and more reckless with this every year. And every time they go back to these super speedways was just throwing blocks on cars that are going 20, 30 miles an hour faster. And I'm telling you, it wouldn't surprise me either if in the 500, if they have a cycle of green flag stops, we get a wreck because some guy is trying to just throw their car out in front of a line to try to make them swerve, and there's a wreck out of it. And it's going to look really bad if that's the case. And I hope it doesn't take a nasty wreck to happen for this to stop, but it's getting a little out of hand, I think.
I would completely agree. The serpentining that we saw from Eric Jones and Chase Elliott through that, they were going from the basically the outside wall to the apron back up. I mean, they were just weaving. And if any one of those slower cars made any sort of hesitation or second guess and moved a little bit, that was triggering a wreck right there. And thankfully, at least for the moment and for that green flag pit cycle, they made it through unscathed. But I definitely agree. Sunday, especially if we get towards the end of the race, those blocks are going to become more aggressive for sure. And so, yeah, watch out for the green flag cycles because they will be dangerous to say the least.
The other thing that happens a lot too is just that 3-car tango where, I mean, we saw it in the first duel, right? The same crash happened 2 different times where I think at the first one, Chris Buescher was pushing Alston Dillon and then got in the back of Bubba Wallace. And then the second time was the one that took out LaJoy, where John Hunter Nemechek was pushing Daniel Suarez into the back of Corey LaJoy. So that's something that I feel like is more common and we've seen in a lot of super speedway races. Just these cars trying to get the most out of the kind of minimal speed. And I say minimal speed just since these cars are so much slower than what they used to be, and just trying to get the lines going, even though that really doesn't help. It ends up kind of hurting the lane a little bit more than it would if you just kind of rode where you are, just because you lose all that momentum. But that's definitely a treasure point, I feel like, as well. And obviously, it was victim to both Corey LaJoy and some drivers, and then in the first wreck with Bubba Wallace and some drivers.
If you find on your sports betting books this weekend before the 500, if you find the bet on race to go to overtime, hammer the yes, because there's no way this race is finishing at 500 miles. Because these guys in the final 5 laps, they'll be trying to do a 7-car tango, and it's just not going to work, and someone's getting wrecked down the backstretch, and we're going to go to overtime. So if you're looking for that bet, just, find it and put the house on it because this race is going to overtime. And I just hope we have a green flag finish. That's one more thing. Need a green flag finish. We have lacked that for a few years now. Last year was technically a green flag finish, but it wasn't really a finish. The field was so just wrecked out. There was like 5 cars left, and they were all spread out. In 2024, we saw like 100 feet of a last lap when the caution came out. 2023, they wrecked in turns 1 and 2 for a caution. 2023, yeah. And then 2022 was the last green flag finish we really saw naturally in the Daytona 500. So be nice to see. And then 2021 had a massive crash down the backstretch. 2020 we saw a crash, but we did get a green flag finish technically. 2019, so we had a run at the end of the 2010s, but I mean, since the next gen car, we've had one real authentic green flag finish. So it'd be refreshing to get one of those this weekend too. So that'll take us into segments. Segment 1, let's start with Wesley's Wayback moment for the Daytona 500.
Well, not speaking of green flag finishes, that's going to take us to the 2005 Daytona 500. For me, grew up a diehard Jeff Gordon fan. I had a lot of drivers I rooted for. We were big Busch Series watchers, so I watched a lot of the Busch Series. But for me, when it came to Cup, it was all Jeff Gordon all the time, pretty much every weekend. And for me, that race was just super special, and it was just a great moment. I feel like to cap off for Jeff Gordon's final win at Daytona. it was a spectacle for sure. And the race overall, it was very solid. I feel like one of the last true, honestly, just best start to finish Daytona 500s where everything, if you go back and watch, just some incredible battles throughout the whole race. It was exciting, I think, at the end for a lot of people when you watched live for there to be the same championship contenders from the year prior, which were Kurt Busch, who won the 2004 championship, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson, who finished third and second, respectively, and then Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Mark Martin, that were also really competitive that year. Tony Stewart was in the mix there at the end and throughout the whole race. I think he led the most laps and ended up to go on to win the 2005 championship. There were some storylines early where Bobby Labonte blew up, Matt Kenseth blew up. I think Michael Waltrip blew up with about 60, 50 laps to go, which was a crucial moment because he had been competitive all day and led some laps. And then I think the big moment that a lot of people have seen in crash compilations on YouTube was Scott Wimmer's flip, where Scott Wimmer and Mike Skinner, who had made the race, they had a huge crash there in turn 3 and turn 4 that took out a few different guys. And I know it's super random to think about, but a lot of people remember Kevin LePage at Talladega. I mean, you think about Kevin LePage, that's the only thing you think of, but that was such a big weekend for him because he took one of the most underfunded teams maybe in NASCAR history. I couldn't even tell you the name of it, and finished third in his duel, and then went on to finish top 10 in the Daytona 500, which is unreal, like a true underdog story for a team that's forgotten about and a driver that didn't have success in the Cup Series, but just was a crazy moment to kind of look back on. And then it was also Sterling Marlin's last top 10 in a Daytona 500, who I think is regarded as one of the best super speedway racers and one of the best, 75 NASCAR's greatest drivers ever to be in the series. So it was special to look back on, a special moment for me. Hated Elliott Sadler wrecked at one point. I was rooting for him too, Virginia boy. Hermie Sadler, I think, qualified or attempted to and didn't make the race. So we were Sadler household too. So it didn't work out for Hermie, but I think Elliott came back and finished top 10. So that race for me was really special to look back on. I could have mentioned the 2001 500, but obviously, uh, it's a memory. And I feel like we can all kind of appreciate that memory for what it is. But yeah, 2005 was special.
The team, I just looked it up. RJ Motorsports was the team that Kevin LePage was on when he finished ninth in the 2005 Daytona 500.
I think LePage won maybe 2 or 3 times in the Busch Series, and then his best track was Darlington. Like he could wheel Darlington in short tracks like it was nobody. But he was so good there. But aside from that, yeah, that was kind of his last big moment in the Cup Series before his few years later incident at Talladega that shocked the world, I guess.
Yeah, and it's crazy how that ninth place finish in the Daytona 500 just gets overlooked for Scott Riggs' fourth place finish. Everyone remembers Scott Riggs being the underdog that race, getting a fourth place finish, but you're right. I mean, I don't even think about Kevin LePage when it comes to that Daytona 500.
Yeah, and another thing to mention too, that was a few guys' first Daytona 500, right? You had Carl Edwards in the 99, ended up winning at Atlanta not long after that, and then Kyle Busch, when he was driving for Hendrick. I think Travis Kvapil was in the race too. That was his rookie season, and for him, obviously his son and Travis's involvement in the Cars Tour has gone on so long that Travis is still just a crucial element. I feel like in motorsports, does a great job as a family man, but also running a business and just looking out for a lot of these up and comers that are coming into the sport. And his son is just a step away from getting in the Cup Series, so it's cool to look back on and kind of just appreciate those moments of some of the driver talent, that was here just what 21 years ago. But for me, that was my childhood, and it was great to look back on and have that memory.
Absolutely. So, next segment, Steve stumps the field. Steve, first question of the season, what are you going to throw at us?
All right. Our first one of the year. Since we're on the topic of Daytona 500, Kyle Busch went out and won the pole for the Daytona 500, but he is still chasing his first Daytona 500 win. So that got me thinking, how many drivers won the Daytona 500 pole and then went on to win the Daytona 500 of that same year? So we have 7 drivers in the history of NASCAR have done this before. 2 of those drivers have done it more than once. So 5 drivers have done it once. 2 of them have done it more than once, totaling 7 drivers. I will give you guys a freebie because I got to give you some context of kind of what era we're in. So I'll give you guys a freebie here. The last driver to do it was Dale Jarrett in 2000. So everything, all of your answers will be pre-2000. Now, you don't have to give me the year because I don't expect you to know the exact year. If you want to take a shot at it, you certainly can. But we're just looking for the 6 other drivers on top of Dale Jarrett from 2000 who have won the Daytona 500 pole and then went on to win the race that same year.
Oh my
Who would
God.
like to take a guess first?
I'll go.
Richard Pett. Oh,
you can go, Dom. No, good. I heard it already. Go.
I was gonna say Richard Petty's. I mean, out of 7,
Wow.
he's got to have done it.
Thanks for taking the low-hanging fruit. Richard Petty, he actually only did it once. 1966, Richard Petty won the pole and then went on to win the race.
Spectacular. I'll go next because I have really no clue. I can't even tell you a Daytona 500 winner before 2000 that's not named Dale Earnhardt. I'm gonna go. Shoot, Terry Labonte.
Terry Labonte is not on the list.
I just named an old guy. I don't know what to tell you. I
You
don't
did.
have much knowledge from before I
You
was
named
born.
the old guy and
I named an
didn't
old
pay
guy.
off. No, but Terry Labonte actually never even won the Daytona 500 pole through my research. So, swing and a miss for Sam. Wes, how about you?
Gosh, I mean, we watched it in this living room too. The 2000 Daytona 500. Did Dale Jarrett have the pole? I only say that because his car was a rocket ship that year.
Yes, Dale Jarrett, 2000. He was the most recent guy to have started
Oh,
on the
you said,
pole.
well,
and
that's
went
who
on
we
to
started
win the
with.
race.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, shoot, you said that. Dummy. That's shoot, for some reason I was thinking you said 2001. Well, forget that. Let's say I feel did Charlie Marlin in the 4?
Sterling Marlin is not on the list as well. I will say, because you brought up 2001 through the research, Bill Elliott in the return of Dodge to the NASCAR Cup Series sat on the pole for the 2001 Daytona 500, and he finished top 5 in that race.
Shout out
But
Dodge.
shout out Dodge. They'll be back in the Cup Series relatively soon. So, but Sterling Marlin not on the list. Throw it back over to Dom.
Cale Yarborough.
Cale Yarborough is one of the 2 multi-time guys who've done this, and he did it actually spread out pretty far time-wise. 1968 was the first time, and then he did it again in 1984.
So that was just from my tidbit of them being the 2 winningest drivers. I just figured, hey, that's
Exactly.
11 Daytona 500 wins. You got to think at least one of them for each.
Exactly. Yep. So, so far we have Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough, and Dale Jarrett. That leaves 4 more drivers left.
I'm gonna guess the fastest man to ever drive in a stock car, and that is Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott is the other multi-time guy.
I knew he could qualify. I had that in my head.
He could qualify, and he went on to win. He accomplished that feat 1985 and 1987. So we're down to 3 more drivers. And if you do get stumped, I do have the years with it to give you at least some context to it.
I know some of the winners, so I'm trying to think of who might have. I'll take I don't know if he would have started on the pole. I'll take an easier one. No, I'll take the harder one. Neil Bonnet. Did Neil Bonnet have it?
Neil Bonnet did not.
He won in like 1987, I think. 88, 89. Can't remember. One of those years.
So as we go back over to Dom, we have 1962, 1980, and 1999.
Oh my God, I should know 1990. Oh, that's Jeff Gordon.
I was getting concerned for a second. I was getting concerned. We have 4 Jeff Gordon fans on here. I was getting a little concerned.
Was
Yes,
that was
Jeff.
that was that your easy answer, Wes?
No, mine was going to be, I could say it too for time reasons, but Rusty Wallace.
Oh, Rusty Wallace, good guess. Also not on the list.
Shoot, we're just taking misses.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon did do it in 1999. So, Sam, as we go back over to you, 1962 and 1980, 2 drivers left here.
I mean, there's a very low chance that I get 1962, like almost zero. There's a little better chance I may be able to get 80, but I may not even name someone that was racing in 1980. I'm going to go. Oh, this is a guy I know that was racing. DW.
No, another solid guess. Not DW, though. All right. Wes, let's see if you can take a stab at this.
Shoot, well, I said Rusty Wallace, so that was wrong. So I'll get a second guess in here, but I'm going to say 1980, the man, the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt.
I was shocked. Dale Earnhardt is not on this list.
That might have been his bad year.
That's right.
He had a bad year right around then.
But also, again, too, he surprisingly, shockingly, only has the one victory of the race in 1998 as well, and he did not sit on the pole for that race. So
yeah, I was just thinking about
20 years of frustration.
Here I am thinking of pole sitters and not race winners.
That's all right.
See, it's hard. Right. You got to think of both of them.
Yeah, just I'll sit out. I'm being a dumbass.
That's all right. All right, Dom.
How out there is the 1962 answer?
Let's see. His first name. I'll put it this way. His first name.
I have a guess.
Okay.
Is it Junior Johnson?
No.
Okay.
It's not. This driver, his nickname is one of my favorite drinks to mix in.
Yeah. Well, Sam should get that.
You want to take a guess, Sam?
I don't know what your favorite drink to mix in is.
My dad's favorite driver before Dale Earnhardt. Fireball Roberts.
Fireball Roberts did it in 1962.
Right. That was indeed my dad's favorite driver.
Oh, the liquor side of the mix. I was, for some reason, I was thinking like someone's nickname was Mountain Dew. That's what you call moonshine. I don't know, man. I don't know. That sounded like a 1962 nickname. Yeah, that guy. He ran a lot of Mountain Dew in his day. So 1980. I'm just gonna throw a dart at the board again. Shoot. Bobby Allison.
Bobby Allison, you are whiffing at these here. Bobby Allison's not.
I don't know olds. I'm not. I know from when I was born on. That's when I started watching personally.
All right, Wes. I'm going to give you a shot at redemption here. This paint scheme, one of the most iconic in NASCAR history. It was the black and silver before the Intimidator made it famous.
Oh,
commonly referred to as the Gray Ghost, ran by this driver.
My mind's just blanking entirely.
My God, it's sad
that I can't remember.
It's like right there.
The funniest thing to me is in my head when I watch trivia videos, I know there's someone at home right now screaming the answer.
Oh, absolutely!
Like they're just like, oh, I know it. They're screaming the name, and we're just sitting here staring at each other.
I've already been a dumbass, so I might as well just say Corey LaJoy. Take BJ McLeod. No, I'm not 100% sure. I really don't. I couldn't tell you.
What you want to guess?
Is the name an alliteration?
Could be, I guess.
Is it Buddy Baker?
It is Buddy Baker.
Well, that is an alliteration, Steve.
Yeah, so when both names start with the same letter, that's called an alliteration on a name there, Steve. A little English lesson for you.
Yeah.
at the 53-minute mark of the Forward Fuel podcast.
As I'm sure you guys can tell, English is not my strong suit, and I probably missed that day in class. Yes, Buddy Baker was the 1980 pole sitter. He did go on to win the race. So Fireball Roberts, 1962. Richard Petty, 1966. Cale Yarborough did it twice in 68 and 84. Buddy Baker, 1980. Bill Elliott, 1985, 1987. Jeff Gordon in 99, and Dale Jarrett most recently in 2000.
And we have lost Wes. I think he's like punishing himself for whiffing on these
He put
answers.
himself in the corner. It's his timeout time.
Well, he can't stay there too long because we got our underdogs of the week now. So underdogs for the Daytona 500. You know who I'm going to? It's gonna be Cole Custer. He was in the top five, in the top two on the last lap of both Daytona races last year. Just couldn't get the job done. So I think you switch to Chevy, so he'll have some more, drafting help at least with, technical alliances with the Chevys. So I'm gonna go Cole Custer at this for the Daytona 500.
That's a pretty solid pick. A little bit surprising considering how bad you wanted to cuss him out last year after what happened there. My underdog of the week is going to be one of the RFK cars. Unfortunately, I don't think I can pick all three of them. So I'm going to go with the 17 of Chris Buescher. I mean, there's really no bad choice with any of the RFK cars. Unfortunately, Corey didn't make it, so I can't say one of the four, but of the full-time guys of Priest, Buescher, and Keselowski. Keselowski is one of the best super speedway racers, so he's not really an underdog with it. Priest looked fantastic in the duels. So just really picking any of them, but I'll go with the 17 of Chris Buescher. Unfortunately, it sounds like they're probably going to have to go to a backup car, or there's going to be a lot of work to the primary car. So they'll be coming from the back, but keep an eye out for the 17 car. He'll be making his way towards the front.
I'm gonna go with, for my underdog of the week, I'm gonna go with a guy that I like to pick a lot in fantasy for drafting tracks, because I don't use him that often otherwise. I'm gonna go with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. because that's a guy that we obviously know is a good guy to pick on drafting tracks. And if he's not throwing terrible bumps and not throwing terrible blocks, he's going to be all right. He's always up near the front. He was up near the front during his duel. It seems like they've got some speed in those Chevrolets, and if they get lined up, I could see him making some moves and getting to the front. So that's my underdog of the week.
And I'm going to take a guy that's going to be competing in his first Daytona 500. That's Corey Heim. I think Corey Heim, he's got nothing to lose. He's got a lot to prove, but everybody knows his driving talent. I feel like he was impressive just in the one duel, just kind of being consistent and getting the repetitions in. So I feel like he's going to be, a guy. It's going to be tough for him to win. Obviously, I think the Toyota teammates are going to be a challenge to be able to get around, like the Bubba Wallace, the Denny Hamlin. But I feel like Corey Heim can really go out there and just show what he's capable of. I feel like it's time for him. I mean, it's Heim time. That's what everybody says, right? So I like Corey Heim.
All right, and now we'll send it to Anthony for making money with Marchesi.
What is up? Anthony is back. I am here for some DraftKings picks. I was here last week for them. They did not go so well for the Clash. I got the duels on in the background, or the pre-race, I should say. But instead of giving you 3 different winners this week, I was honestly going to give you some parlay that I came up with. I think it's pretty solid. It's got a winner, a top 5 finisher, top 10 finisher. But to recap the Clash, my 3 picks did not end so well. Blaney had a top 5 finish, but besides that, it was just horrendous. But it was also a horrendous race. I'll keep this short and sweet. Let's go with the top 10 pick. I have AJ Allmendinger. He's a plus 235 odds on DraftKings for a top 10. He basically has a top 10 in every 500 in the last 6 or 7 500s. Besides one, he blew the engine. I believe that was last year or 2 years ago. He blew an engine, so he was running really well before that. That's the top 10 pick. Top 5 pick. Austin Cindric, why not? He was leading coming to the white flag last year. And listen, you can lead coming to the white flag this year, but you don't have to win as long as you get a top 5, right? Obviously won in his rookie year. Listen, he's a plate racer at the moment in Cup. That's what he's known for, so why not? And then race winner, Kyle Busch from the pole. Obviously, as long as he doesn't crash in the duels or anything catastrophic doesn't happen. But he's got to do it. I mean, the confidence, you see the confidence in that A team more now than ever before. Except for, well, at least in the last couple years, when he started in that 8 car. What was it, 2023? He won 3 races, and then it just fell apart from there. But they have a lot of speed. They showed promise in the Clash as well. Obviously, this is 2 completely different races, but to be on the pole already, have all that confidence. He almost won it multiple times recently, especially in the 8 car, so I'm taking Kyle Busch. That's plus 1,100. The Cindric pick was also plus 235. So I will put right above me the odds for the entire parlay. $5, what it wins you. Take a shot. Go for it. You could win a couple hundred.
All right, and thank you, Anthony, for getting trying to make us some money here on the Foreign Field podcast. So hopefully you guys are tailing Anthony's bets and win some money. Make sure you tweet at us or message us any winnings or any bets you made. Thanks to Anthony. All right, now we're going to the new and revamped fantasy draft, where we get the 3 rounds snake draft. Can't pick a driver in consecutive weeks. We're gonna keep points here, and I don't know. We haven't really determined, but should we just do a 36 race schedule? Should we just do full season points here?
As staunch proponents of the 36 race schedule, I believe that we should stick to our guns, and yes, I think that we should promote the 36 race schedule by using that format.
All right, you have me sold. 36 race format here, season long points. Let's get them started this week. Wes, you got the first ever pick in the new Foreign Fuel podcast, revamped fantasy draft.
Gosh, I'm gonna try to start out on top. I'm gonna take Ryan Blaney.
That takes us over to Steve.
That's a good pick, Wes. I'm going to take the other Ryan, one of the RFK guys. I'm going to take Ryan Preece.
All right, Sam.
Okay. Third pick. You know what? I'm going to be a homer. I'm picking Joey Logano at number 3.
It's good pick. Man, based off those duels, you know what? This guy's usually there. Give me Christopher Bell. And then on the turn, I'll take Austin Dillon.
I'm just gonna go chalk here and take the other dual winner, Chase Elliott.
All right. Well, that will leave me. That kind of changes my strategy a little bit. I will go with. I'll go with Bubba Wallace.
Ooh, give me. Trying to think of some drivers. Just where it gets pretty hard right about here. I'll take Austin Cindric. I'll take 2 of the Penske teammates, and that'll take us to the turn here for my third pick with Blaney and Cindric. Let's go. There's a few different teams I want to pull from. I'll take Kyle Larson.
I'll close mine out with Denny Hamlin.
I'm gonna end mine with kind of a long shot pick. I'm gonna go Connor Zilic. He looked really good in the duels, or in his duel.
Ah, man. Man, oh man, let's see. Well, now the Hollywood writers would be on something here, but give me Brad Keselowski. All right, so just to recap, Wes, he's rolling with Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, and Kyle Larson. Steve is rolling with Ryan Preece, Bubba Wallace, and Denny Hamlin. Sam has Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and Connor Zilisch. And myself, I have Christopher Bell, Austin Dillon, and Brad Keselowski.
Man, we really left Eric Jones and Michael McDowell on a island here. Two of the best to do it at super speedways.
No, I didn't. I mean, I gassed up Cole Custer, and I didn't pick him. It's a mistake on my part there.
Hey, just because you picked him as an underdog doesn't mean that you're picking him for for the race.
All right, so you know, right as well we head out here, since it's a Daytona 500, who's your set prediction to win the race?
Man, I gotta say it's hard on these super speedway tracks to bet against the Penske drivers. It's gonna come down, I feel like, between I feel like it's gonna be a Ford versus Toyota most of the race. You're gonna have some Chevys sprinkled in there. But I have a hunch. I have a hunch that's gonna be Baldman Logano that's gonna be up there. As much as that pains me to say.
As a Joey Logano fan, I will say what I think I've said on this podcast for every single one of the drafting tracks, at least in the last year. It's that if Logano is leading coming to the white, he will either win the race or the field will not make it back to the checker. So, I'm gonna actually. Can I double down? I could double down. I could double down on
Yeah.
this pick. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Joey Logano. He's on my fantasy draft team. He's got a flag up hanging behind me. So it's definitely a homer pick. But obviously he's one of the best here, and he's one of the craziest when it comes to defending that lead position. So I could see Joey doing it.
I'm gonna go with a guy I did not draft, but one of you three did. Uh, I think it'd be cool to see this car get into victory lane, especially if the lights go down and I guess the sun goes down, the lights come up. I think uh, I think Austin Dillon has a really fast car. I think just the raw speed in that car, if he's in the right position at the end, I think that can be enough to kind of maintain the gap and get the win. So Richard Childress just looks really good this year when it comes to the super speedways. At least just what we've seen in the duels and qualifying. So I'll take Austin Dillon. That was
Man,
Dom. Dom, you drafted him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Austin's car, I don't care what happens the rest of the year. Scheme of the year is the 3 car.
It
Yeah,
looks pretty.
undoubtedly.
It looks really pretty.
It's just how it looked in qualifying on its own. On track by itself was like, I feel like in ways surreal. It honestly looks surreal and overlooked by a lot of people. It's so nice on the racetrack, and it'd be really cool to see that car get in the victory lane.
Well, another guy that looks really quick, and if he could just if his car could just take a push this year, Christopher Bell is going to win this Daytona 500. He finished third in 2023. He finished third in 2024. He was side by side for the lead with 5 laps to go last year before a push sent him into the outside wall, and I think that was the wreck that sent Ryan Preece slipping again. So Christopher Bell, and on that last lap of Duel 2, if he doesn't get blocked by I think Michael McDowell, I mean he was flying into turn 3 there. He was gonna drive past 2 or 3 of those Chevys by himself. So I think Christopher Bell's the man if his car could just stay straight when getting pushed on Sunday. So enjoy the race. 68th running of the Daytona 500. Make sure you enjoy it. And then come back to us on probably Tuesday for our recap for the Daytona 500. It's going to be an exciting race. Hopefully it's a mixture of action and not just a straight wreck fest. But let's see some action. Have a good, clean green flag finish. That's all we could ask for here on the Foreign Field Podcast. So for Wes, Sam, Steve, I'm Dom, and we'll see you Tuesday after the Daytona 500.